Welcome to the Celebrate Brave podcast. I'm Nicole Steinbach, your host and the International Bravery Coach for Women in Tech. I serve women all over the world to earn more money, create more opportunities, and thrive in the tech industry because tech needs all of us. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hello, brave people. Yes, you heard it correctly. A different voice. Not to worry, you are still tuned in at the Celebrate Brave podcast. My name is Lila, and I'm Nicole's podcast manager, and I will be the narrator of this episode. As it is International Women's Day today, I thought it would be a great idea to celebrate Nicole for all the work she's doing for women in tech and celebrate all the amazing guests we've had on the show this season. I will share some eye-opening moments, some jaw-dropping insights, and some heartwarming words that made me tear up when I was editing the episodes. The Celebrate Brave podcast and Nicole have made me realize how women have been treated in the workplace, including myself. I always took for granted the remarks, the lack of opportunities, and the stereotyping happening to me and my female co-workers. It was just the way it had always been. But not anymore. Nicole and our guests have made me see that women can be leaders, that it's not normal to be underpaid, overworked, and uninvested, that certain behaviors are unacceptable, and that we need to work together as women to lift each other up, to mentor each other, and most of all, celebrate each other. We started the season with guest Zoe Evans, and let me tell you, I had to stop editing for a moment and go back a few times to what she said and let it all sink in. It was like a bomb was dropped in my lap. Have a listen to the next fragment of that episode.
Women across the globe got 2.3% of that hundreds of billions of dollars spent on startups. So COVID has reduced our VC funding back to 2017 figures. Just to add a further layer of insult on top of that, if you are a woman of ethnicity, of that 2.3%, you get 0.27%.
Sorry, say that again. Zero what?
Women of ethnicity get 0.27% of the 2.3% of VC funding.
Isn't this jaw-dropping? Only 2.3%. And then she goes on and continues with this.
You know, we're moving into a world where AI and algorithms and all of this will control just about everything and anything we do. You know, mortgage applications, university applications, everything will have algorithms and will be automated. So that's cool. And we're all like, yes, that's great. But actually, there's so much bias in these algorithms because everything is based on measurements of either or men or, you know, the lifestyle of man or the size of man. Your Apple phone is designed for a man's hand. Yes. Medicine, for goodness sake, medicine is designed on the weight of men's bodies. So women will never ever have the correct dosage of medicine because the medicine has been designed for a man's body.
And their
car
cycles.
Crashes. Car crashes. Women are 46% likely to be more seriously injured in a car crash because the seatbelt and the seat and the steering wheel and the distance and all of that has been designed for male bodies. And our bodies don't fit that, so we're more likely to be far more seriously injured.
I didn't know. None of it. I just accepted the fact that my Apple Watch is way too big for my wrist as a flaw on my part, my body. Since the episode, more news has come out about medical procedures and diagnosis for women, and companies are working hard to create a safe environment for women to work in. Now we need to get that VC funding to a 50-50 level, and Zoe and her organization are working hard to make that happen. In the episode Women in Tech Amplify Power, Nicole talks about the situation from her own life. An example of where women need to strengthen one another. It was during a meeting with around 30 people and only 4 women who had seats at the table and voices inside the project.
We were ignored. We were ignored. We were talked over. We had to insist that we stayed on the distribution list. And thankfully, there was an incredibly senior woman at the time. She was very shortly with the company. The story kind of sums up why. She actually pulled together the people directly underneath her as well as additional women. And she said, here's what we're going to do. When I speak, then I'm going to call on someone else, and you are going to take advantage of that. You're going to instantly start talking, and then you're going to hand it to somebody else. If nobody hands it to you, I want you to amplify the other person who's in this room. Now, I'll be honest, she had already been doing this, but since we didn't understand amplify, we were letting that ball drop.
And to make clear how this would work, she gives an example.
Andrea, Nicole, I'm just thinking about Nicole's proposal. That would be so important for our end users that every single Agile pod had assigned change support. And you do that over and over and over again. And what's really fascinating is that once 2 people were doing this, 3 people were using amplification, men in the room who had been ignoring, and it was only men, and it was a specific identity of men. It was middle-aged men who were white, straight, and in positions of authority. They had been ignoring and disregarding and dismissing, but once there was 1, 2, 3, potentially even 4 voices, they unconsciously started to shift. Because if you bang your head against a wall enough times, at some point you start looking for a door. That's amplify.
How amazing is this? Working together to get heard, to get our points across. If you haven't listened to the full episode, you should do so and try this out with your fellow female co-workers. And let Nicole know how it is working for you. Moving on to a woman who took a chance and changed her career and found herself with a brand new company right at the beginning of the pandemic.
She built a in-person co-working space in the center of Heidelberg, Germany. And then 5 weeks later, for an in-person co-working space in Germany, which was super strict, everything got shut down. Everything.
Yeah, it's been the most expensive office I've probably ever had for myself. I was sitting here all alone in my 400 square meter, great, beautiful, equipped co-working space with everything you need. But, well, I mean, you have to enjoy that. And I learned very much in that time a lot about resilience, but I also learned a lot about what I call the circle of power. I could blame the politics, the virus, the world, some guy somewhere who ate some animal, and that was the reason why the virus came. I could have blamed the whole world, but I can't influence that. And again, back to the facts, right? I try to concentrate on what is within reach. What can I do to stay sane? And just touch those things which you actually have an influence in, and forget everything else, right? Because it just makes you miserable. It just makes you negative. It just puts you down. But the things you have in reach, which you can do and influence, that builds you up because you have the right, I'm doing something. And I guess that was what saved myself was I went on my bike every day. I rode with my bike to my co-working space. I put on the lights, I put on the coffee machine. I sat here until the evening, and then I closed everything down and went home. And I did that every day. And that was my sanity check.
Believing in ourselves, your ideas, and not giving up. Riding her bike to work every day and being there was what Lone needed to do. We need to find our way to keep believing in ourselves or even start believing in ourselves. And once we have a great idea, we cannot give up. After the last Grace Hopper celebration, Nicole recorded a powerful episode about how we women in tech normalize being underpaid, overworked, and uninvested. Her passion and conviction about this blasts through the recording.
My beef is with the fact that I was often the singular voice saying it's not normal to be underpaid. It may be common, but it is not normal. Those are two different things. And when women would say, I love my boss. It's such a great company. I have flexibility. I have benefits. I get to travel in non-COVID times. But I know I'm making $30,000 less than the guy next to me. I'm making, in the case of a woman in India, she was making, because, the number is shocking, but then you learn about the currency, right? I'm making $130,000 less. Excuse me? Normalized. It was normalized. Y'all, it's not normal. It is not normal. It may be common. It is not normal. And when we normalize it, we not only continue to be underpaid ourselves, you dear listener that I genuinely love, you continue to be underpaid, but you know what? So are your nieces. So are your cousins. So are those girls who are currently in elementary school. You are not doing a service to yourself nor to them. Overworked. Oh, I really wanted to make that session, but I couldn't take the time off. Why could you not take the time off? Oh, I got pulled into this and I got pulled into that and I got pulled into this. Why? I would love to attend more sessions. I would love to be a part of my local group, my local Anita Beta group, my regional group, my country group. I just don't have time. I'm working 50, 60, 70 hours. I'm just so exhausted after work. Why? Being overworked is, again, perhaps common, but it is not normal and it is not acceptable.
Another one of those moments you need to really let sink in after listening, because let's face it, she's right. Why should we be okay with being paid less while doing the same job as a man? And why do we have the need to prove ourselves by working more hours? We are not doing each other any favors, and certainly not the women that will arrive after us. And then there's Vonda. What a powerhouse of a woman she is. A Black woman who started in tech about 20 years ago and found herself in a leadership role asking men why they do certain things in their job. All our lives we have been told stories. We have been told we can't do certain things, that we must act a certain way. So what do we do with these stories? What can you do if you are a woman of color with these stories?
There is a story that you are told. And then there's the story you tell yourself.
Ooh.
The story you're told and the story you tell yourself. Now, I have told myself that, number one, yes, I'm Black, but that's okay. Yes, I'm a
beautiful.
woman. It's beautiful. Yes, I'm a woman, and that's okay. Yes, I'm short.
Beautiful.
Yes, I wear glasses. Yes, whatever, right? And it's good.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I know the story that I've been fed, and I know the story they want me to believe. So as a Black woman, the way I navigate the world is I navigate between understanding the story that the world wants me to fit into and what they believe, and the story that I know is true. So I may communicate or operate in a way that keeps me safe.
These were just a few episodes of an amazing season of women telling their brave stories. So go on and check them out after you have finished listening to this one. Today, on International Women's Day, we must fight for a right for funding our own startup. We must work together to have our voices heard. We must believe in ourselves and not give up on our ideas. We must stop accepting being underpaid and overworked. And last, but certainly not least, we must tell our own stories.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Celebrate Brave podcast. If you're ready to build your brave, to live a life you love, and create a career that matters to you, reach out. Together, we can spend time one-on-one to explore how I can help you. And until then, share this episode with people in your life, people who can join our movement to redefine brave, how we identify it, experience it, and celebrate it.